and welcome to another episode of Empower Your Menopause. Still going strong, almost a year later. We're coming up to our year anniversary in a few weeks, I think it is. So this is a podcast that helps you take charge of your health, your hormones and your happiness. And we're your coaches, James Ellis and Juli from Fabulous Beyond 40 Coaching. Today we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked health game changers for women over 40. It's not HRT, it's not green juice, it's not some alternative practice like goat yoga. And yes, that is a thing. If you're wondering, Google it, goat yoga is a thing. What if we told you the best thing you can do for your body right now is just to pick up something heavy, but to do it on purpose? So today we are going to talk about strength training. Before you start rolling your eyes and thinking it's not for me, I'm going to get bulky and I don't have time, stick around because this episode might just open your eyes to something else. So whether you've never lifted anything heavier than a bag of dog food, or you used to love working out but you feel too exhausted to start again, we're here to tell you that it's never too late. We're not talking about six packs, gym selfies or anything like that. It's about building strength so you can live fully and freely for decades to come. So I think, Julie, a good place to start here is to dive into some of those myths that I just skirted around a little bit there in the introduction. Why don't you talk about those things and things like, I don't want to get bulky, I'm going to turn into the female Arnold Schwarzenegger, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I love how we date ourselves with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the reference. That seems to be the go-to. I don't know who it would be these days.
The good thing is that most of our listeners will actually get that reference.
Yeah,
Right? So
exactly. But yeah, it's a really funny thing. All of the myths that do surround strength training, and I think the first one, of course, is that I don't want to do it because I don't want to get bulky. And I know we hear this pretty regularly from women. The truth is that you won't. You physically can't, because women don't have the testosterone levels that build bulky muscle to look like a female bodybuilder. And if you do want to do that, you would actually have to make training your full-time job, eat with scientific precision, and sleep like you're going into hibernation, basically. So you would have to give up your weekends and your wine and your social life to basically do only train, eat, and sleep. And that's seriously what it takes to do that. I know women who have gotten into figure competition and bikini competitions in their 40s and 50s, and they struggle to put on muscle because our bodies just aren't made to do that. Strength training doesn't actually make you big, it makes you defined, right? It makes you it gives you stability, and it helps you avoid breaking yourself as you get older, because it's something that we do when we lose our muscle mass, and we also lose our bone density, our bone strength. We're much more prone to breaks and fractures and falls and injury. So these things happen naturally as we age. So by adding in strength training, it gives us the ability to sculpt and tone our body and add some of that muscle strength and bone density into that bank, as you say, to draw from as we get older. Most of our clients find that when they add strength training and they do it consistently, they actually drop inches while getting stronger, because that's really what we're looking for, isn't it? We all talk about weight loss. I want to lose weight, I put on so much weight, but the truth is we're looking for fat loss, and strength training is probably the best way to do that. So one thing I will say, because from my own experience, if you do start strength training, don't expect the scale to drop a lot, because muscle is more dense than fat. People say muscle weighs more than fat. No, it doesn't. It's more dense than fat, so it takes up less space. So as your inches reduce, the scale may not change very much, because you're adding in something that's more dense than the bulk that you had on top of it. But that's okay, because that's the goal, right? Fit into our clothes better and get stronger. Anyway, enough about that. The second myth, really, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. We're not talking about going for hours and hours to the gym every day of the week. 2 to 3 times per week is plenty to start. You can even start with sessions as short as 5 to 10 minutes, because anything you're doing if you're not strength training already, anything you do is going to be more than zero, right? And energy is a result of training. It's not something you need in order to train. So you don't have to have more energy. It will help bring energy to you. And the beautiful thing is you don't actually need equipment, because you can do lots with your own body weight exercises. And I know we'll talk about that a little bit. And the other thing, I think this is the biggie. Yeah, I mean to get started. I'll do that once things settle down a little bit, or once we're past this holiday or that holiday or this birthday or that birthday, or the kids are out of school or the kids are back in school. You know, we have all of these reasons, excuses why we don't. Life isn't going to settle down. Every month you delay, you're losing muscle mass. That's just the reality of aging, and nobody's avoiding it. And so we want to treat strength training as a priority, and our bodies as a priority, because this is an investment in your health. When you make that now, even if it's short sessions, it will pay you back in multiples later on down the road. So that's enough about, you know, the all of the myths around it. But why? We talked about this a little bit, but why do we strength train?
Well, more than anything else, longevity and the ability for our
Mm-hmm.
bodies to function for as long as we can. There's no doubt, you know, we're not trying to kid anybody here. Aging affects everybody, right? Nobody doesn't age, but you can certainly slow down the process somewhat by making sure that you're still able to function, you're still able to move around, you're still able to do things. I know one of the first things that stuck with me when I first did my personal training, which was way back, 15, 16 years ago, when I did my certification for that, um, I had a section which was training people as they get older. So it wasn't menopause related, but it was sort of like 60s plus. And the instructor said to me, we call quadriceps, they're the four big muscles at the front of your legs, your independence muscles, because once they stop working, you lose your independence. And people will have seen that when they see somebody, an older parent or a grandparent, struggling to get out of a chair and they have to use their arms as they get older because their quads aren't as developed anymore. And so being able to still function as we get older, being able to function for daily life is really, really important. And you think about how many things you do that need some element of strength in them for you to actually do them properly and with intention and to a level of good ability. So I'm thinking about things like, you know, you're going away on a flight and you've got your 10 kilogram hold bag and you want to lift it up to the your carry-on bag, you want to lift it up into the overhead lockers. You know, that requires a certain degree of strength and agility to be able to do that. If you've not got the arm strength or the arm tone to do it, then suddenly you're relying on somebody else to do it. And when you rely on somebody else to do it, then you're not training your arms, you're detraining your arms even less. But just things like going to the supermarket and carrying your shopping home afterwards, or picking up a grandchild to play with them, all those kind of things are reasons why strength training can come into play. So if you're a strong woman, you stay independent longer, you can carry your own bags, you can climb stairs, you can get off the floor without help. I mean, how horrible is that, right? When you get to the stage where you're having to ask somebody for their hand to help you get off the floor. It's a real challenge. Not only because now we're a physical challenge, but it's also a mental challenge because we realize that we can't do things for ourselves that we used to be able to do. It supports your metabolism. You talked about muscle mass before, but the other key one as women age in perimenopause is estrogen's protective effect over bone density wanes, and then so strength training can help preserve bone density and actually increase it somewhat. That's really important. 50% of women over 50 end up with a break or a fracture due to low bone mineral density. It's good for your mental health, right? When you're training, you're training your mind as well, and also joint stability. One of the things that we get asked about a lot is joint pain as women get older. So I think it's something like women lose around 8% of their muscle mass per decade as from 40 onwards. That's quite a lot. So strength training can help preserve that for longer. I was looking up earlier a little bit of research just to back up some of these claims, and I found an excellent scientific paper from 2023. It's a scientific review. So this is one of the highest levels of evidence. It's called the efficacy of strength exercise for reducing the symptoms of menopause. I mean, boy, do these scientists know how to name one of their studies, right? But what
Snappy.
what a systematic review does for people who don't know it and aren't aware of how scientific research papers work, a systematic review is where they go and they look at all the past evidence that they can find around a certain subject. So this one looked at strength training and reducing symptoms of menopause. So it looked at 5,900 other studies. In scientific terms, that is a huge amount of data to collect and crunch and put all those numbers together and come up with some kind of a conclusion. And their conclusion was there is strong evidence that strength exercises can be beneficial for improving strength, physical activity, bone density, hormonal levels, and metabolic levels. So, how many of the challenges of menopause do you want to roll into one sentence and for something to tell you that this can help with all of those challenges? So it's really important to realize it's not just muscles, it's brain, it's bones, it's blood sugar levels. It supports your cognitive function, so how your brain's actually working, your balance, and once your balance increases, of course, that other challenge that comes with age, falls, fractures, long-term care needs, they can also be reduced too. I think I've probably covered that one enough. Got on one of my rants again, as usual. Um, so talk to us a little bit then, Julie. You're a woman over 50. You do strength training. What does it give you? What? How does it help you personally?
Yeah, it's funny because I never really was a person to love strength training, but I started doing it because I knew I needed to. I have had issues with my shoulders my entire life. My shoulder sockets never fully developed, so my arms would fall out, randomly. And it's a multi-directional thing. So even though I had surgery on one, it doesn't help that the joints are not stable. And I was told by a physiotherapist many years ago that I would have to strength train for the rest of my life in order to keep upper body function. And I didn't really like hearing that when I heard it, but I thought, okay, well, I want to be able to use my arms for the rest of my life. So I started strength training. And then I started seeing the difference in what it could do for me and what I was able to do because of it. And it improved my posture, it improved my confidence. It has made me more independent. And it's funny because some years ago, probably 15 years ago now, I was working at a company back in the States, and I used to be in human resources, and we were doing new hire orientations. And one of the things we gave to our new hires was a book that the founder of the company had written. And I used to have to go get boxes of these books when we had a big session. And they were 10 books to a box. They were fairly big books. And they were stored down by the founder's office. And he had three different administrative assistants working for him. And they were in their 50s. And I went down there, and I was in my early 40s. I went down there to get some books for an upcoming orientation. And I asked for the key to the room. And I came out carrying two boxes of books on my shoulder. And one of the ladies looked at me and said, "No, no, no, let us call our services guy to help you carry those." I said, "No, I don't need to bother him. I can carry them myself." Like, "Oh my gosh, how can you lift those things? I can't even lift one box." And I thought, I am never going to allow myself to become that helpless. It was a real eye opener because the boxes themselves weren't very heavy. And I just thought, that's crazy. So we talk about function, moving well in daily life, being able to put things away. Even my Instant Pot, I have to pick up and put up on a shelf. It's not a lightweight piece of equipment. It's not super heavy, but that's an easy thing to do. Whereas I know women who can't. The freedom, as you mentioned, traveling, playing with your grandkids, going out dancing, hiking, wearing the damn sundress. I'm wearing my damn sundress today, because it's hot. Um, that whole level of confidence and being able to work with your body instead of constantly fighting it. Strength training can really bring that into play because you learn how to navigate things that are difficult, builds resilience. It's amazing for helping your mood and anxiety and helping you sleep better because your body is doing the things that it was actually made to do. So I love strength training because it really helped me, especially when I got into the throes of menopause. It really helped me kind of find a way back to myself. So that I think it has a lot of tremendous benefits. I could go on, but I won't. So where do we start? How do we get started in all of this?
Well, I mean, it might sound simple, but you actually need to lift some kind of a weight. That doesn't mean that you have to have a full rack of weights. You can fill a water bottle. You get a couple of those big 1.5 litre water bottles, fill them both with water. You've suddenly got two 1.5 kilo weights. Okay, they aren't going to work long term for you because you do need to lift heavy. I'll come on to lifting heavy in a moment, but they'll give you a good start. Resistance bands are an incredible way to start because you can get these sets of popular online retailers where you can buy multiple bands in like a pack, and each band is different color coded depending on the level of stretch that it needs to pull it. So they will be light, easier to use or harder to use as a starting point. Once you do start to get into sort of like sorry, and of course body weight, right? Absolutely key.
Mm-hmm.
You can use body weight
Yeah.
as well. Once you get into actually lifting weights themselves, you do need to lift the heaviest weight that your body can actually lift. And when we say what it can lift, we're talking about probably around 10 repetitions of the same move. On repetitions 8, 9, and 10, you need it to be difficult. So let's say you're squatting, you need to be holding some squats so that you did 6 of them, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 were getting progressively difficult. I remember when I first started doing personal training many years ago, that I went and bought some weights from a sports shop close to me, and the lighter ones were pink, and they were color coded supposedly for women, and the blue ones were slightly heavier, and they were color coded for men. I mean, aside from the fact that that is complete BS, don't go for the pink weights if you're going to buy some. Go for the blue ones and above, or better still, avoid the colours and just go for something a little bit heavier. So if you do decide to start investing in them, think about 5, 7, 10 kilos, 12.5 kilos, and just multiply those figures by 2 to get the pounds versions of them. So you can start quite basically, as I said, body weight, then move on to something else. Some of our clients just get an old backpack and fill it up with a load of rocks and use that as a weight to add weights and things like squats and lunges and stuff. When you first start out, you want to start small. I think you mentioned this before, Julie, a couple of times a week, and doing maybe 3 or 4 what we call compound movements. So a compound movement is one where you're going to move more than one joint. So you're moving 2 joints or more when you do it. So good examples of that are squats, presses, rows, lunges. If you want to start somewhere really, really simple, there's an incredible, for me, I think for women in menopause, it's one of the best moves that you can do. It's called the farmer's carry or the farmer's walk. Basically, it's just holding something heavy and walking with it, right? And you want to be balanced as well, unless you're going to do it on one side first and then on the other. And the farmer's carry is really, really simple. Carry something heavy, walk 4 or 5 steps forward, walk 4 or 5 steps back, do 5 side steps one way, 5 side steps the other way. I was reminded of that the other day because a friend of mine who's a Team GB ultra marathon runner, she runs 24-hour races for the UK, name's Ali Young. She did a reel on it on her Instagram feed the other day saying that farmer's carry is the one thing that she does every single day. And she is super, super fit. It's a really good, simple and easy move to do. There are, of course, loads of videos that you can find on channels like YouTube and things like that. They won't be personalized to you, so I would be slightly wary of doing something like that unless you get some advice from a coach first. Hi, we're here if you need us and you need support. All our clients in our Club Fabulous Beyond 40 membership get strength training sessions delivered to them. But I suppose the key thing in all of it is if you're starting from zero, it's time to start now, because there's no such thing as too late. But the longer you leave it, the more challenging it's going to get. And I know that, you know, within all the myths and the challenges that Julie talked about before, one of the challenges is that people have convinced themselves that they want to lose weight. And when people convince themselves that they want to lose weight, people convince themselves as well that cardio is one of the best ways to do it. And particularly high intensity cardiovascular training for women in menopause can be a bit of a challenge, whereas weight training on its own, slow, heavy lifting, is really, really good. It's less stress on your nervous system, so that is less stress hormones running around, and it's really good for all those other reasons that we talked about. So it's never too late, ladies. Get out there and do it. And if you do need advice, of course, we're here. So Julie, do you want to just wrap up then, and let's go through everything that we've talked about one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. Just, I think the biggest takeaway that I hope you get is strength training isn't about looking like a fitness model. It's about function, it's about freedom to move around and do the things you want. It's about having the confidence that you are meant to have, certainly at this stage of life. Being able to do those daily tasks, carry things, lift things, get up and down off the floor. That's actually a really important thing, that I think we don't put enough emphasis on, because if you happen to fall, if something should happen, being able to get off the floor is really important. But basically, it just comes down to feeling powerful in your own skin, just feeling really good in your own skin. And it can be intimidating for some women to get started, but really, it's never too late. There have been research studies showing people going into nursing homes and getting, elderly out of their walkers and wheelchairs, but don't wait that long. Start now so you don't end up there and having to work your way back. Every single repetition that you do of strength training is an investment in your future self, in your future life, this amazing last 1/3 to 1/2 of your life that you want to be able to feel energetic and vital and really happy in who you are and what you're able to do. And trust us, your future self is going to be really, really happy if you get started today. So if you're ready to feel strong and confident, we would love to help you. We offer a free menopause clarity call for those who are interested. We'll place the link in the show notes. There's no pressure in that call. It's not a sales call. We're here to give you some personalized support to help you get on your way to feeling your best. So if you're interested, you can go to freecall.fabulousbeyond40.com. And again, that'll be in the show notes. These calls are meant to walk you through, where are you now? What's working? How do we map a path forward for you to get to where you want to be, where it feels doable in the context of your real life, and you feel empowered to be able to actually make it happen. Because the truth is, you deserve to feel strong and fabulous and fully alive at any age and any stage of your life. So on that note, I'll say this has been Coaches Julie and James on Empower Your Menopause, and we appreciate you joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again in our next episode. And in the meantime, stay strong and stay fabulous.
See you next time.